The International Energy Agency has released its 2023 Energy Efficiency Report, finding that more is needed. Brian, what are the key themes, the key takeaways from this report?
So in 2022, we saw a real change in the global landscape for energy efficiency, driven not just by the focus on climate policy, but of course 2022, where we saw energy prices skyrocket, real focus on energy security. Governments realized that more was needed on energy efficiency policies. We saw a lot of governments introduce new policies on energy efficiency, a lot of focus on behavior change, a lot of focus on how businesses and consumers could use less energy. Now, in 2023, we've seen that continue. So we commend governments. We've seen a lot of new policies introduced. In the last 18 months, governments representing 3/4 of the global economy have introduced new energy efficiency policies or strengthened existing ones. So that's good, but it's not enough. We need more because we're seeing these countervailing pressures. We're seeing energy efficiency policy strengthened, but when we look at, for instance, last year's really hot year, so a massive growth in air conditioner sales and usage. We see economic growth in really strong, intensive sectors, pushing back on the energy efficiency gains we're making, and in some regions actually cancelling them out. So it's good news in the sense that we're seeing this continued policy focus on energy efficiency, but also we're seeing mixed results in terms of our global progress. So really a lot done, more to do.
In terms of more to do, investment is often quite a cited issue to tackle. How do we create the investment landscape needed to reach our energy efficiency targets?
Investment in energy efficiency is always a conundrum because there's often economically viable projects out there looking for investment and not getting it. And so we do need a greater focus, particularly in emerging and developing economies where there's a lot of efficiency potential that remains untapped. And again, underlying all of that is policy. Around the world where energy efficiency policy is strong, investment flows and efficiency gains are made. So it always starts with policy.
On that note of policy, we've got a fairly big event coming up. COP28 is pretty much on the horizon. What is your message to policymakers when it comes to energy efficiency?
COP will be judged by its outcomes, and the IEA has called for 5 key outcomes. One of them is let's get governments to commit to double progress on energy efficiency across the rest of this decade. Between now and 2030, governments should commit to a global doubling of improvement in energy efficiency. That means policy action now. It can be done. We know the technologies that will take, we know the policies that we need. So let's get on with action right now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us with your insights, Brian. It's been
Thank
great
you.
talking to you. Make sure to follow our socials and be a part of the conversation.